Hey there, and thanks for joining me for today's video. And as you can see in the title, I'm going to do the hashtag Deck Fomo that was started by April from Tarot and Witchery. I have seen that hashtag on YouTube for quite a while now because it's been like almost 2 months now, and I've been meaning to do it. But I'm glad that I waited because after watching Amy's video from Strength Reversed, that completely changed the way that I look at FOMO. And I would have given very different answers before I saw Amy's video. And so, yeah, I'm glad that I've waited. And it really got me thinking about the whole, what is FOMO? Have I ever really experienced it? And I do actually have all of my FOMO decks right here with me, which are 12 decks, 11 tarot, 1 oracle deck, as far as I can remember in my collection. And so this might take a moment, so just get a drink, get a snack, and let's dive right into this. So question number 1, what triggers deck FOMO for you? Well, as I was thinking about this fear of missing out, and if I ever really experienced it, I guess in some ways, but I also realized, looking at my purchasing habits, when I bought decks, how many did I buy, what were the reasons that I bought them, I realized that the majority of purchases were really just that, purchases. And I was making them for either instant gratification, getting them as a reward for a job well done, like if I had a really tough work week, or especially in 2020, that whole year was like there was a lot of rewarding myself, or it was self-soothing. But at the end of the day, it was really just consumerism. And with those mass market decks, there wasn't really any fear of missing out aspect to it. I just wanted the decks. And for me, it was more about the experience of ordering something, receiving the package, opening it, and then playing with something new. That excitement wore off pretty quickly, and then I would order a new one and go through the whole process again. And I think that was really the majority of my tarot purchases. It was getting something new and shiny to play with. But the FOMO that actually happened for me was with all of those out of print decks that I have in my collection. And those are the ones that I want to share with you. So for me, the whole out of print thing was like, some of them I was looking for them because I knew about those decks and I have been looking for them for a while. Others I kind of stumbled across on someone's channel, not really looking for anything, and then I saw it. And then I started the Google search and quickly found it, or just window shopping on eBay, for example, and then seeing something and I'm like, oh, what's this? And so, yeah. Okay, let's start with the Oracle deck first. So there's an Oracle deck that I came to TarotTube, maybe I should start that way, in spring, summer 2018. Before that, I had no idea that TarotTube actually existed. And so between summer 99, when I got my first tarot deck, and spring 2018, I had 5 tarot decks, and that was it. And after discovering TarotTube, that quickly changed. And then I found out there's this one Oracle deck called the Fallen Angels Oracle by Nigel Suckling. And this had been sold out quickly because it was a limited edition. And I have been looking for this, and I saw someone selling it on Amazon Marketplace. And the most expensive one that I found was 1,700 euros. And there's no way in hell that I would ever pay that much for a deck. And luckily, there was a new edition that was printed, and it is still in print. This one is still available, and I just paid 17 euros for this one. So yeah, I'm glad that I got this because I have been admiring it on other people's channels for a long time and I really wanted it. And I absolutely love working with this deck. Another one that I didn't even know that I wanted because for a long time I was kind of turned off by the RWS because I had a version where the faces were not completely colored in, but they had all these little dots that made up the color. And so after a while of looking around for other versions of the RWS, I came across a version from 1984, and this is a German version from AGM, AG Müller. And this one actually has cardstock that's not even laminated. It's very smooth and buttery, and I love shuffling with it. And the faces are really colored in. There's no little dots there. That was always distracting for me, and that's why I didn't like reading with it. But since I have this one, I love reading with it. I like shuffling it. I like the sound of it when I'm shuffling it. So yeah, that came to me without me looking for it too much. Then there was my very first FOMO experience was actually the Atlantis Tarot. Well, very bright. So this deck I saw for the first time in a witchy catalog, and here's the deck. These are the facts. And I saw this one for the very first time in 2000 in a witchy catalog. And they only had these little tiny pictures, and they had the Atlantis Tarot, the Arcus Arcanum, and the Avalon Tarot, Legend Arthurian Tarot. And I went with the Avalon Tarot. And years later, I saw this on Amazon, and I put it on my wish list. And I thought, well, I can always get this later, not even thinking about the fact that tarot decks might someday be out of print or out of stock. And when the time finally came when I was ready to buy it, some 10 years ago or so, it was sold out. So I couldn't get it anymore. And it took me quite a few years of Googling and searching and checking until I finally found someone who sold it on eBay Marketplace. And the good thing is I got it for just 20 bucks. And that's even less than what the person originally paid for. It says $21.95 on here. And my 20 bucks even included shipping, so score. Another deck that I saw in that witchy catalog that's also out of print is the Arcus Arcanum. I have trimmed mine. And this was also one of those decks in that catalog, and I had been looking for that deck for a while, and there are still people who sell it. Some sell it for ridiculous prices, others for very moderate prices, and so I actually managed to get 2 copies of this, one in the normal yellow box that you can get it in, and one in the VHS tape box that actually came with the big guidebook because I wanted to have this one. And that's why I have 2 versions of this. So yeah, that one also took me a few years to find it. And okay, where else? One that I saw on another channel, but I didn't know if I wanted it. But then I came across the deck on a used book website, and they were also selling tarot decks, and that was the Undersea Tarot. And this one is also very much out of print, out of stock. It's very hard to find. And I did find it on that website, and it was just twice of what the original price was, and I didn't hesitate for a moment. I never really thought about adding this deck into my collection. I wasn't looking for it, but when I found it, like, that was mine right away. And I have gotten some really good readings with that deck. I didn't regret that for a moment. That deck actually made me cry. I did a reading for myself, getting into a very emotional topic. And as I was getting through it card by card, I just like something just happened with that deck, and I'm so glad that I got it. Another deck that I got when it was just about to be out of print, and I like in Germany and America it was already out of print, and so I was really looking, so I found the Italian version by Lo Scarabeo, the Ludi Lescott. So I snatched up one of the last copies, and I'm also really glad that I got it, and I haven't regretted it ever since. One that I was always referring to as my unicorn, because that one was released quite a while ago. I don't know if it was 2006, 2011, but back then I didn't know about TarotTube, so I had no idea about this deck. So I missed out on it on the first edition, and I was looking on eBay and just Googling up and down. And that deck also went for ridiculous prices, like 600 bucks or more. I was not willing to pay that. So thankfully, the Tildwick Tarot came back into print. There was a second edition, which I believe at this point might be sold out again. But I was following the website and I paid very close attention as soon as I heard there might be the possibility of a new edition. And when it came out, right away I got it. And so now my unicorn is finally in my possession. As far as other German decks, like this one of Arx Arcanum is one of the German decks, and I wanted to have other German decks in my collection as well, since I am from Germany. And one that I saw on TarotTube, as well as the Ananda Tarot. This is a majors only deck, and people are also asking very high prices for this. And when I found it for less than 50 bucks, I didn't hesitate. I bought it. And I really like the artwork in this deck. And then one of my greatest scores, I guess, besides the Atlantis Tarot, was the Ananda Tarot. This one I saw on Veronica Jude's channel. And I got the big VHS tape box with the chunky guidebook. And this one actually was sold by someone who also sells Cold Pilz's artwork, because he was an artist, a painter. And so this came to me completely sealed, never opened before, not used, and I got it 39 euros. And this is from 2001, actually. So this is still from way back when and hasn't been sold so far. So that was a really, really great find, because it was still completely new. So those are the ones that I can show you for now. Did I leave out anything? No. Okay. Number 2, what is a FOMO deck purchase you regret? Well, since I said like a lot of the stuff I was buying was not really FOMO, but I do have 2 regrets that I got, and that's these babies. Because I wanted to work with angel decks, and I thought these would be really good as like flashcards to get to know the names and the functions of each of these angels and fallen angels. But these have been such a letdown, because especially in the, I think it was in this one, if you really look at the cards and if you look at the jobs that these fallen angels have, or the demons, you will find that at least half of the deck has the exact same thing written on each card. And that is completely useless for me, because why would I need a deck that, like, where half of the cards are really the same thing? It's just a different picture, but the meaning, the function is the exact same thing. So where's the variety in that? And I do have I mean, this one also has the fallen angels, and this one, like, there's no repetition in there really. Like, they all have their different jobs to do, different things that they're responsible for and can be called upon. And this is absolutely not even close to that. And the same with the angels. There's also a lot of repetition. And it doesn't match other sources that I found. And so for like the author of that, the creator, claims to have over 20 years of experience studying this, and for that it was a huge letdown, and I expected so much more of that. So these are definitely huge regrets in that sense. Number 3, how do you set limits? My bank account does that for me, and also the question of do I want to spend the money on it, or do I want to spend my money for something else? And recently I've been wanting to spend my money more on traveling, for example. So I have not even bought a single deck this year at all. Not because I made the decision of like having a depth year, which I just kind of fell into in a way by not purchasing anything. And I have wanted to do a depth year for quite a while. I wanted to do 2 depth years back to back, actually, but they were never meant as no purchase years. But yeah, the funny thing is now that I'm spending my money on other things, and I'm actually really going through everything that I have, wanting to work with it, getting to know the decks that I have on a more meaningful and deeper level, I find that I don't have the urge to purchase anymore. Currently, there are maybe 4 new decks that are going to come out in the second half of the year on my wish list, but that's something that I would keep for my birthday or for Christmas and for like a special occasion, but it's not something that I'm going to purchase right now. I'm just going to leave them on my wish list and see what happens. Number 4, how many decks do you have? I don't know the exact number at this point. I'm guessing it's anywhere between 120 and 150. I kind of stopped counting at 120 or close to 120, and I know that I have more than that, but I don't know the exact number. But I know that I'm not working with all of them, and that is another thing where I'm going through my decks now, also in this time of not purchasing anything and shopping my own shelf, so to speak, to see which of the decks that I have I actually like and I want to work with them, and which of those I don't ever really touch and might move on to another home. I have already rehomed a couple decks, and yeah, I don't miss them. So it was the right decision. Number 5, how many decks do you need? Well, technically, I only need 1. And that would be enough as a tarot reader to just have 1. But I do have different decks for different reasons. I do have decks that are a little bit more gentle. I have decks that are like right in my face. I have decks that I use for specific categories. I have ones that work better for emotional readings. I have decks that work well for work and career guiding, so to speak. I have one deck, for example, my Atlantis Tarot. That is a deck that I use to look into people, into their personality, for example, to find out who someone is and if what they show on the outside matches what's on the inside. And yeah, so I have different decks with different purposes. And so do I need all of them? No, technically I could do all of that with 1 deck, but I enjoy the variety, and yeah, sometimes I'm in the mood for a different deck. So, and that's perfectly fine. Number 6, what's a positive deck purchase from FOMO? Okay, and here I have some more decks. Now, the positive aspect of that is my soul deck, and that is well, the Röhrig Tarot. This is actually the new edition, the 2020 edition, which is now uncensored again, because the artist, Karl Röhrig, finally got the copyright to his artwork back. It now belongs to him again after all this time, and so he re-released it on his website in his own shop. And the 3 cards that had been censored, which are the Hanged Man, Princess of Cups, and the 3 of Discs, are now uncensored again, though he put a little twist on the Hanged Man. Even though he's naked, you can't really see it. He put a like little shadow on there. But yeah, so this is the newest version. As soon as I found out that this was going to be available, because I'm subscribed to the newsletter, I got the early birds special, and I also was able to get this in English. So this is the English version, which is also extremely expensive. If you can come across an English version from way back when, like in the 90s, then some people are selling that for up to $2,000, which is completely ridiculous, because if you have the big cards, I also have the big ones in German that came with this large guidebook, the only really good guidebook that has ever been published with this deck. And if you look at the cards, let me get one out. That's a bad example. Okay, so people were going crazy about the keywords up there being in English, and they wanted to have the English version, not the German. But you can totally trim this, and all the keywords are also on the cards in English and German. You don't actually have to rely on the language up there. Like, everything is written on the cards. So I don't even understand why people would pay $2,000 for this deck if they can have the German version for just $50 and still have the English keywords on there. And so in that FOMO thing, I also bought the Spanish version, and this one I trimmed down. I took the keywords off, so I turned this into like a pocket-sized deck, and I really like this. It makes it difficult to shuffle because of the size now, but that's okay. And the box is falling apart. And I also got the Czech version, which has gilded edges. Oh, let me just open this. So as you can see, it has gilded edges, but this one, the cards were really sticky and sticking together, and some of it like ruined the pictures, like ripped a little bit off. So yeah, and even though it has the Czech stuff on it, there's still, like, everything is in German and English on the cards. There's really no reason to worry about the language with this one. So this I actually have in 4 different versions: the original old German version, the Czech version, the Spanish version, and the new edition in English. So yeah, because this is the deck that represents my country and my culture for me. And the last question, what are your thoughts on the current state of Deck Fomo in our community? I honestly don't really know what the current state of that is, because since I'm not really interested in buying decks at the moment, I also stay away from a lot of flip-throughs, walkthroughs, unless I already have the deck and I want to know what other people think about it. But when it comes to new decks, I don't really watch those videos currently. So I can't really speak to that, because I also don't want to be tempted. I don't want to be like, oh, but this looks nice. But I have made that, I had that experience before where I saw a deck that looked really pretty on camera, and then I bought it and it just didn't do anything for me. And one of those decks I have moved along, and it's in a home where it's being used now, so that's all good. But currently I don't watch these videos, so I don't know. But I know that some of the decks that I have shown on my channel may have inspired a few people to get them, so I'm fully aware that I have been an enabler. And of course I have watched videos by other people and then got the decks. So yeah, but I'm staying away from that for now, because I really want to dive into what I have. So the videos that I'm watching now are about decks that are also part of my collection so that I can hear someone else's perspective on them. And did I miss anything? No. That was the last question. So 25 minutes, not too bad. Okay, thank you, April, for this tag. This was really fun, and it was really interesting to think about this. And also thank you, Amy, for giving me a different way of looking at this. And thank you, everyone, for watching and hanging out with me. And take care. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.